Ladies and gentlemen, the big one. Hello guys, Tank99 here and welcome to today's video where today we're going to be going through the 2024 NRL Grand Final. Preview and predictions essentially is what this is going to be. Also a bit of tips in there as well. Don't mind if I do. Obviously, there is more than one game happening that day, so we're going to be talking firstly about the NRL State Championship, followed by the NRLW, and then moving on to the main event being the NRL Grand Final. So these are going to be the timestamps here of these are the matches. So if you're really only interested in watching what my thoughts are going to be for the NRL Grand Final, just go to that timestamp. But anyways, let's get into it and let's talk about the State Championship. This year's State Championship will be between the New South Wales representatives, the Newtown Jets, and the Queensland Cup winning representatives of the Norths Devils. Now, the Newtown Jets are coming off a quite close win in their grand final last week when they defeated North Sydney. It was a very decent match in all honesty. A lot of the matches were all quite close and it was a pretty enjoyable day to say in terms of rugby league happening. And then you had the North Devils who played, I believe it was about 2 weeks ago in their grand final, defeating the Redcliffe Dolphins there. So it is going to be quite interestingly even. Obviously, you gonna have probably some Sharks players coming in for the Newtown Jets team because they obviously feel like Bradley Hamlin-Uele was the person who ended up scoring the winning try for the Newtown Jets in terms of that. So I think it's actually going to be quite a close match, but in terms of I think Newtown will win the state championship. I think this will be close, like could be potentially try to decide in the last couple of minutes. So I'm going to say Newtown 1-12. Should be an interesting match to kick off the days of football. Now, we move on straight away to the NRLW Grand Final. Well, everybody kind of wanted there being a Sharks-Roosters Grand Final, but they got it, but not the way they thought, as obviously it is the women playing as the Sydney Roosters against the Cronulla Sharks. The Cronulla Sharks holding minor premiers Brisbane 2-0 in a 14-0 win, and the Sydney Roosters knocking out the Newcastle Knights, preventing them from potentially going for a three-peat with a 25-16 win. Now, this match, I feel like, definitely seems to be a bit of a changing of the guard, essentially, in terms of which team do I think will be the more dominant going into the future. The standard for the NRLW has gotten a lot better, and obviously there is a lot of player movements going around. One particular that I'm really interested in is Caitlin Johnston going to Cronulla next year, which should be, really interesting to see how that goes, how that went. Roosters, I think, had a really good first half against the Knights. Basically, it was like already over, but the Knights did make a bit of a comeback. Knights have dealt with injuries though. And I just think the Sharks look really good in this. And I'm going to say that I think Cronulla will win the NRLW Grand Final. I think it's going to be, probably 1-12. It'll be a close one, but I think it's probably on the outer end, probably by like 10. And I think the Sharks get the title. And honestly, they'll be the team to beat for the next couple of years in the NRLW. Okay, now, right then and there, let's talk about the Grand Final. The Grand Final, probably no one wanted, but it's the Grand Final that we definitely deserve. The two best teams in the NRL, the Melbourne Storm and the Penrith Panthers. Now, as a neutral, this is the worst case scenario. Like, we have to basically choose either, Melbourne get back to their dominant ways, or Penrith go for an unprecedented 4th straight premiership, which has not been seen since the 60s with St. George. It's basically, in terms of me as a neutral, it's kind of basically like choosing which testicle I'd like cut off. It's essentially it's basically like the lesser of two evils in a way. It's like we're Poland and we're either going to be, is it going to be by the Soviet Union, or is it going to be by the Germans led by old mate with mustache, because you can't say them type of things. Obviously, we have to talk about a big factor, Nelson Asofa-Solomona trying to fight his 4-game ban. As of right now, the Storm are competing to try to get either the ban suspended up until next season, which could be a factor, we don't know, or even just downgraded or whatever. It's going to be pretty interesting to see the result of that. So I'm going to go through with this with the announcement of Nelson Asofa-Solomona will not be playing. Obviously, I've seen people say like, oh no, he shouldn't have his suspension suspended and move to next year, even though a certain Penrith player had this actually got that in their favour, and look at him now. In terms of how I think this match could genuinely play out, I feel like for the Storm to win, don't allow it to be close. That was kind of the big thing that really happened last year with Brisbane, is essentially, yes, they ran out to a pretty decent lead with about 18 minutes to go, but then, well, Penrith happened. For the result of it being a bit more like out of their way and basically the Storm having a stranglehold on the match, that's how I see them winning. If it's closer in terms of a result, I think that benefits Penrith more and feel like that's what it's been. Because besides from 2022, all of Penrith's grand finals in the last couple of years have all been quite close. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting occasion. It is pretty much, this match is the deciding factor of which team is the greatest of the NRL era. You either have a team go 4 straight for the first time in 60 plus years, or it's the Melbourne Storm who can put themselves back on top and just continue. I'm generally thinking it's like they would be up there for most grand finals of the NRL era, like victories. So they probably already are anyways, but this is probably to make them step further, saying, yep, they are the best team. So, okay, the prediction. I think it will be it'll be a close game, but I don't think it'll be as close. I think the winning margin will be by 12 points, and the team that I think will win the 2024 NRL Grand Final is the Melbourne Storm. If they do win, Penrith, like, completely fair enough, but I just think this Storm team has just been on another level, and I think this will cement themselves as, you know, just one of the best teams of the NRL era. Like, this has just been really good. First try scorer, I'm gonna give it to, I actually think Penrith might score first, so I might give it to a player like Sania Taruva. I think it's a pretty good selection there. Player that I think will get the Clive Churchill medal for best player in the grand final, Jerome Hughes. To hopefully go along with his Dally M medal. Because if I swear to God, if he doesn't get it, oh boy. But yes, there we go. That is my prediction. I have the Melbourne Storm winning the 2024 NRL Grand Final. Who do you have? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me everything. Everything you think will happen in that Grand Final. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. And I will see you... Well, there's no more tipping videos.